Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast. With your hosts, Ashley and Michael, please sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast presented by the Undroppables and sponsored by Analyst Depot and Manscaped. I'm your host, Ashley. This is our co-host, Michael Duncan. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I am.
Why? Tell us. Just because?
The Eagles are 3-0. Do I need much more reason than that?
Yeah. One of two standing. One of two standing.
But 3 undefeated quarterbacks in the NFL. The other one being Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
As we all expected.
Yeah. Cooper Rush to outperform Dak Prescott, but who am I to say that?
I didn't say it.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy NFL week. The Eagles are one of 2 undefeated teams left, along with the Miami Dolphins, who beat the Bills, which sure we'll talk about a little bit in your 15-second frenzy week. The Giants are no longer undefeated, but it is what it is. The thing is, I didn't expect the Giants to go undefeated. I expect us to look horrible out of the gate. So this exceeded my expectations. So it's a win.
I mean, good.
Yeah, very good. The 2 wins to start the season is more than I could have asked for any other year, especially under Joe Judge.
That is a scary bar.
Yeah, but you know what? It is what it is.
Fair
Anyway, we'll jump right into it because we have a lot to talk about. We'll start, as always, with the injury report. Let me make sure I'm on the right tab. All right, and as always, starting off with the quarterbacks. First of all, there are a lot of injuries on this list. I'm going to try and go through them as quickly as possible. Patriots quarterback Mac Jones injured his ankle during the last play of the game against the Ravens at home. He got his foot wrapped up and it looked pretty bad. It was later revealed to be a severe ankle sprain. People expected it to be a lot worse, so that was a good thing, except it is a severe sprain. He is expected to miss this week's game with Brian Hoyer filling in, but they haven't officially made that judgment yet. Chargers QB Justin Herbert is still dealing with that rib injury, but played this past week. After being doubtful for so long, which made me scared for fantasy. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa left the game in the first half and returned after halftime. It originally appeared to be a concussion after he got rocked. It has since been reported to be a back and ankle injury. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in our news segment. Bills quarterback Josh Allen immediately went to the x-ray room after the game against the Dolphins for an apparent injury to his throwing hand. Allen said he's all good, pain's fine, so I think it was more precautionary that he was dealing with a little bit of pain and got an x-ray to be safe. For running backs, Bears running back David Montgomery is listed as day-to-day with both ankle and knee injuries. The team has not ruled out the possibility of IR. They're kind of being very shady about it. Khalil Herbert took over in his absence. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook injured his shoulder. This is not the first time he has had a shoulder injury, and in the past he has missed games for it, but he's still considered day-to-day at this time. Bengals running back Joe Mixon had some ankle issues. He stated it was on the sore ankle. He will be playing in week 4, according to him, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Lions running back DeAndre Swift hurt his shoulder in the game, and he's also working through an ankle injury. He's expected to miss some time, and Dan Campbell said that there's a possibility that Swift could be out until after the Lions' Week 6 bye, which is, I didn't expect it to be that, but crazy. Wide receivers is the biggest of all of our injuries. Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown injured his ankle in the first half of the game and did not return. It has been revealed that it was an ankle sprain, and he's listed as day-to-day, but he said he's unsure if he'd be able to play through it. He did not miss a single game in college, which I just wanted to add there. Pretty awesome. So he's unsure if he's going to be able to play through it. Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson exited the game after taking a shot to the ribs, but later returned. 3 Saints wide receiver injuries. Crazy. Signed me out. Michael, can you give us the Saints wide receiver injuries? Michael signed me out.
oh, that's what you were saying. I was.
Wait, I'm back. I'm back.
Well,
I can go. Would you like to give us the Saints wide receiver injuries?
Sure. Michael Thomas suffered a toe injury, but it's not thought to be serious. Tre'Quan Smith got a concussion in the fourth quarter and enters the concussion protocol, and Jarvis Landry got a high ankle sprain in the fourth quarter, leaving them with basically only rookie Chris Olave.
Yes, who's doing very well. Chargers wide receiver Jalen Guyton is suspected to have suffered a severe knee injury.
Cardinals I believe it's been confirmed it's a torn ACL.
Has it?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. That was one of the ones I forgot to look up after I read the initial reports. Thank you. Cardinals wide receiver AJ Green left the game with a bone bruise in his knee in the third quarter and will miss at least one game. Michael Gallup ended up not playing on Monday night. Rams wide receiver Van Jefferson was placed on IR. He was rehabbing his ACL tear when the season started, but it doesn't seem that he's ready, so he's going to miss 3 more games. The Rams say that this is not a setback, so it's not like something happened to place him on IR, just that he's still not ready, and it's probably due to them like wanting to use the roster space, so makes sense. Very sad. Giants wide receiver Sterling Shepard will miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL that he got non-contact during the Monday night game. Really poor guy. Like, I feel so sad for him. He just can't catch a break. Yeah, don't. Todd Bowles will still not give many answers to the status of Bucs wide receiver Chris Godwin. Bears wide receiver Byron Pringles suffered a calf injury in the first quarter and did not return. For tight ends,
Byron
Pringle.
You said Byron.
I feel like you do this every time, and I feel like I didn't say it like that.
No, you did. You did.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
Byron. My old friend Byron.
And
you just sometimes you just don't say things like a normal human being. You sound like a robot that's trying to understand the English language.
Yeah, could make sense. So. It also just could be that I'm trying to get through these as fast as possible. Tight end, Cowboys tight end, Dalton Schultz did not end up playing on Monday night. For the offensive line, Ravens left tackle Patrick McCarry suffered a low ankle sprain, and this is important news because the Ravens were already very thin at left tackle. He was their 4th left tackle this season. Chargers left tackle Rashawn Slater will be out for the rest of the season with a ruptured bicep. Crazy.
That sucks.
Crazy. Jets offensive tackle George Fant got a knee injury and is placed on IR with the Jets offensive line already being very banged up. Niners offensive tackle Trent Williams is expected to miss at least 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Bills safety Micah Hyde will miss the rest of the season with a neck injury. Lions safety Tracy Walker tore his Achilles and will miss the rest of the season. Chargers defensive end Joey Bosa sustained a severe groin injury and will miss some time and is now on IR. And Jaguars cornerback Shaquille Griffin ended up missing the game with a hip injury. We do have some good news. Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker seems like he's a lot closer to returning. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott got the stitches out of his hand that he had surgery on and will be back sooner than expected. There's even some floating around that he could be back this week, but I don't think he will be.
That's the dumbest report I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's stemming from him, honestly, because on the Monday night game, he's like, I wish I could have come out here and play. Like, I'm ready. So I think it's all stemming from what he said on the Monday night game.
Yeah, and then I think yesterday or even today, he's not going to play this week.
Yeah, no. So there are the rumors floating around. Don't expect it to be true. Jets quarterback Zach Wilson will be back. He has cleared and will start this week against the Steelers. Depends on how you look at it. Good news for Zach Wilson. Bad news. The Joe Flacco time is over.
Sad.
Very sad. Very sad. And in news, some big news stories. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett was involved in a one-car accident on Monday around 3 p.m. after leaving the team facilities. It's said that he swerved to avoid an animal and overcorrected. He sustained a shoulder sprain and a bicep strain in the crash, as well as some lacerations, bumps, bruises, normal car accident things. That was according to the doctors at university hospitals. They also noted that he cleared concussion protocol. He did have a passenger in the car who also sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Myles Garrett was released from the hospital late Monday night, has not yet been ruled out for this week's game, so his status is uncertain. I just wanted to look this up real quick before I give you this next story and make sure I have all of these right. So the NFL conducted an investigation is conducting an investigation, I should say, after Tua Tagovailoa returned to the game after he left in the first half because they suspected that the concussion protocol was not followed. After Tua got hit, he got hit really hard. Looked very clear to be a concussion because he stood up, was shaking his head, which is often a sign of a concussion. He was stood up stumbled, fell down, had to be held up. The question is if NFL protocol, like concussion protocol, was followed. The NFL senior vice president Jeff Miller says that the review will be 1 to 2 weeks long. And when asked if they thought concussion protocol was followed, he said, every indication from our perspective is that it was. I wanted to pull up the exact how protocol works. So do you have any thoughts on that while I make sure that I pull up the correct information?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's tough from our perspective to like really give a ruling because it did look like a concussion. But at the end of the day, like what came out about, they said, did you say what they thought it apparently was? I thought you had that written down somewhere. But apparently, like it came out that it was like a back injury or something.
It was in the injury report.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what it was written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like a back and an ankle injury, and I think he even talked about it a little bit, and he said that there was no issue. So I don't know. Like it's hard to not just trust what they say because we don't have any information that would tell us otherwise. But I'm very intrigued to find out what the back spasm. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Very intrigued to find out what the NFL has to say about it.
So I just wanted to note how this whole process works. So during the game, there are spotters who monitor the players with their sole job being to monitor for concussions. If they see an impact to the head, they'll call a timeout. The player is then escorted off the field and examined to be evaluated. That's normal concussion questions, like where are you? Who's the president? All of this stuff. And then there's a 5-step return to participation. Step 1 is rest and limiting activities. Phase 2 is graduated aerobic exercise program so that they can endure cardiovascular exercise. Still non-contact. Phase 3, they're allowed to do exercises that kind of mimic football-specific activities. In the 4th phase, they may participate in club-based non-contact training drills, and the 5th phase involves taking part in a full practice with full contact. They do take this very seriously. As someone who I did all of my undergraduate research in CTE and health trauma in the NFL, and I did mention this past week because T. Higgins was out with a concussion, got a concussion, cleared protocol, was in the game, and then got rocked again, and thought to be like another concussion. I couldn't find any news on it. That's why I didn't have it in the thing. But he did leave the game at one point. That's serious. If a player comes back too soon, there's a chance of something called second impact syndrome, where if your concussion symptoms are not fully cleared, then your brain, then you get hit again, then your brain swells, and that can be fatal. So it has happened before, not in the NFL. It has happened to, I remember it happening to a high school player who either came back too fast or didn't report his initial concussion, got hit, and then died on the field. So the NFL takes this very seriously because there are lives at stake when it comes to this, and lives at stake in the future with CTE if they don't handle everything well. So that's kind of why they're looking into this a lot further, because it seemed fairly clear. They could be so true that he just had a back and ankle injury and that's why he was wobbly and just shook his head because he was hurt. But the original response was, oh my God, he has a concussion. So they just want to make sure all their bases are covered and make sure that the league is doing right by players. So the more you know. What else do I have on news today? I just have that Rihanna is announced as the NFL halftime show. That was announced after rumors of Taylor Swift started to run crazy. Then they announced Rihanna. I'm so excited.
I must have been the only person that didn't hear the rumors about Taylor Swift because my cousin was like, "Oh, I thought it was Taylor Swift." I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of rumors running around.
Idea.
Yeah, and I think the NFL just wanted to squash rumors, and like right after the rumors reached a peak, they were like, "Just kidding, it's Rihanna." I'm very excited. I might need to watch the Super Bowl like in the club so that when the halftime show comes on, I can dance. She makes me want to dance, so I'm very excited. Very excited. And also, it's not really news, but I just wanted to put it in there because it was pretty wild. A drone flew over the Falcons and Seahawks game, an unauthorized drone, and they did have to stop the game at one point. It was so funny, so funny. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. So I put it in there. Anyway.
Proud of you.
You have a sponsor to tell us about, and then you're going to do your segment.
I do. Support for this show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code UND at manscaped.com. My math is correct. That is about 12 million balls that
So many.
Manscaped takes care of. So, yes, I love
Let
it.
them take care of your balls.
I love when they take care of my balls.
Exactly.
I've officially gone too far again. Yep, probably not the best time, but I do want to say hello to Derek's child, who he told me on our me and Derek do a show on Sunday mornings, and he told me that when he cooks dinner, he just puts his child in front of our show. And they like watching it. So
they do.
Hello to Derek's
so if
child.
Your dad is making dinner right now and you are a child watching the show, we love you.
I would assume that the child knows I guess maybe not. I don't know if the child.
Some young kids don't know their parents'
I know.
names.
I forget sometimes that like my cousins do, and I feel the need to be like, Ben, I mean your dad. And then they're like, I know his name is Ben. They give me like I'm stupid. It's like, well, I thought you were stupid. I don't know. So whatever. Children perplex me.
Either way, why don't you tell the child your segment and what you're gonna do?
Oh baby, he isn't quite old enough. All right, well.
Okay, so
whatever.
I was right. You were wrong.
Realistically, we're probably talking to like a 1-year-old child that doesn't actually have any clue what we're saying.
Well, even if the 1-year-old child sits there and enjoys this, that's enough for me.
Oh,
even
yeah.
If the one child was my viewer,
not bad. I
just
mean, by talking to him, we are officially like, it's not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. As a former child, more shapes and jingles. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm going to be doing, is going on in the chat right now. Jackamus, I don't think there should be a law against children. Yes. So
15-second frenzy.
15-second frenzy is what I will be doing. I'm going to take us through every game from this past week in 15 seconds per game, not total. Ashley is going to be timing me, and she's going to be telling me when my 15 seconds are up per game. And I am going to try and get through all of them and only go over a few times by a little bit. So,
yeah. Usually I'll give you like a little leeway. If you can tell you're just about to end a sentence, I'll wait like a half second.
I will say, I think I wrote more this week than I normally do. So we're going to see how this goes.
All right. And same things. He doesn't have to tell you who won or lost. He's just going to tell you what he wants to tell you about the games.
Yep.
All right. I'll count you down. 3, 2, 1.
Steelers versus Browns. George Pickens made what might already be the best catch of the season. That's about the only thing that the Steelers offense should really be proud of this week. The Browns were better on offense, even if their QB play kind of sucks. David Njoku broke out in like his 9th season. Nick Chubb is continuing to be good, and the Steelers have not won without TJ Watt.
Next.
Ravens versus Patriots. God, Lamar Jackson is just a special athlete, and there's no one quite like him on the football field. It's truly a shame that the Ravens defense just kind of sucks, which gives Lamar little to no help in winning games. Mac Jones was in a lot of pain, and Devontae Parker made himself useful.
Next.
Texans versus Bears. Justin Fields was 8 of 17 for 106 yards, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks, 2 fumbles with a 27.7 passer rating in a game that the Bears won. His high on the season is 8 for 121 yards. The Texans are just completely uninspiring in every single way. Raiders versus Titans. The Titans have finally played a game where they actually looked like the Titans that we got used to seeing over the past couple of years. Derrick Henry is back. Meanwhile, the Raiders are 0-3 and have lost all 3 close games that they've had. Mac Hollins continues to break out, former Eagle great, but I don't understand why they won't throw Devontae Adams. Chiefs versus Colts. The NFL is drunk. The Chiefs made a lot of bad calls or mistakes that helped the Colts actually finish this comeback. And while the Colts do stay alive, they continue to not look like the team that we thought they would be. Also, Mahomes and Bieniemy were arguing, and Shady McCoy chimed in on Twitter and had a lot to say about it.
Next.
The Bills and the Dolphins. The Bills had basically no secondary in a game against one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, but apparently that didn't matter. We already talked about Tua's questionable status, but in the end, every Bills fan was just as mad as their offensive coordinator was on TV when Isaiah McKenzie decided to not run out of bounds at the end of the game. Lions versus Vikings. Dan Campbell is still working on how to handle game situations. With a 3-point lead and 1:10 remaining in the fourth quarter, the Lions faced a 4th and 4 from the Vikings' 36-yard line. The Vikings had no timeouts left, so a first down would have immediately won the game. However, they said, we're going to go for a 54-yard field goal, which they missed. And yeah, that's bad. Bengals versus Jets, a true bounce-back performance from Joe Cool, while Joe Flacco is officially back to the bench next week with the return of Zach Wilson, even if he did have a 12-point rally in the final 2 minutes of the game. Eagles versus Commanders. Carson Wentz did not get his revenge. Eagles had 9 sacks and dominated. He just hasn't fixed what he's bad at. Carson Wentz, that is. Positive, they did not have positive passing yards as a team until 3 minutes left in the third. Meanwhile, the Eagles are outgaining opponents by 652 yards in the first half of the season. No other team is higher than 324. Saints and the Panthers. I think the Saints are just secretly a really bad team, considering the Panthers are very openly a very bad team, and they just beat them. Jameis helped them with 2 interceptions, and no one other than Chris Olave could actually do anything on offense or stay healthy. Also, I miss DJ Moore, and I hope he's okay. Jags versus Chargers. Holy crap, the Jags might actually be legit. Doug should win Coach of the Year this year, if only because he deserved to win it back in 2017 and Sean McVay got it because the world was in love with him, and I'm still not over that. Brandon Staley might be a bad coach, although I did write ouch. Rams versus the Cardinals. Thank God the Cardinals just re-signed their GM, head coach, and QB to long-term extensions. Sounds like they're in a great position going forward into the future and have nothing to worry about. But I'm sure DeAndre Hopkins will fix everything. Meanwhile, the Rams aren't the team they were last year really either. Falcons versus Seahawks. It's really weird that it took people until Cordero Patterson was in his 30s for someone to realize that he should probably be an NFL running back. Neither team is a complete disaster that I thought they'd be, but neither team is very good either. Also, Kyle Pitts led to winning a game. Take that, Arthur Smith. Packers versus Buccaneers. Another game between teams we maybe expected to be better, but alas, was just an ultimately very boring game. With neither offense being able to be consistent in any kind of way. Brady made it a game within the last 2 minutes, but it didn't help them enough to get the win. The Packers, meanwhile, are averaging only 16 points per game this season. Niners versus the Broncos. This was just a really terrible game. It was not fun to watch at all. The only bright side is that Jimmy G avenged, I guess, Dan Orlovsky by stepping out of the back of the end zone, and Dan made that very clear on Twitter, which was very entertaining. But they both suck. Both teams are just not very good. Cowboys versus the Giants. Kenny Golladay, I'm not really sure what happened to him. He was fantastic. I loved him. He was so talented with the Lions, and now he's not. Evan Neal, the first-round pick by the Giants, had a very bad game against both Lawrence and Parsons. Meanwhile, Cooper Rush is one of 3 unbeaten QBs in the NFL this season, along with Tua and Hurts, and that is it.
Wow, lots to unwrap there. Lots.
Yeah, I definitely wrote too much for some of these.
Except for the one that you only took like 9 seconds on.
I think that, that was the one.
It was the one before the Eagles. Yeah.
That was the Bengals and the Jets. Yeah, I didn't have as much to say about that one. And it doesn't help that the Lions and the Vikings, there was even like so much more that I didn't even say. I looked at it and I was like, I'm not getting through all of this. But yeah.
Have to pick and choose. That's the beauty of the segment.
Yeah.
There is one thing I do want to talk about. The Chiefs, Mahomes arguing.
Yeah.
You said someone on Twitter had lots to say. Do you want to pull it up?
Yeah, none other than the great endgame spoiler himself, former Eagle great, former Bills great running back, LaShawn McCoy, who did play a season. I want to say it was a season with the Chiefs. I believe he won a Super Bowl actually with them. He didn't play, but he won a Super Bowl. So sorry, let me pull it up real quick. Where are we at?
Take your time. While you scroll through Twitter, I do want to mention that the Bears had Dick Butkus run their Twitter account yesterday, and it was the highlight of my day.
That was I was so confused when it first started happening.
Me too. I was like, what is going on?
I thought someone hacked it or something.
Yeah. And then it was just Dick Butkus.
It like I think it was someone in a group chat that I was with. Like, it is just a really good plan. You just give the phone to the old man and let him do whatever he wants.
His last tweet was, they just asked me to make a TikTok. I'm out of here. And then that was it. That's how he left.
He just stopped tweeting. Like, it was okay.
He had some really good ones. The joke about old people like typing into Facebook when they're like, restaurants near me when they try and like look at Google. That one was good.
So that's
And
what
then,
I saw.
mhm.
And I was like, what? What's happening?
I saw, oops, didn't mean to post that.
Oh, yeah, because
How
you
do I
posted
don't
a
know how to
picture.
delete. But like
Yeah.
not a good, like not a
No.
posed picture. It was like an accidentally like down at his side picture. And there's one video where there's nothing going on. He just
Yeah.
accidentally hit
It's
record.
like his pocket. It's like Mark
Yeah.
Ruffalo for the Thor
Yes, for the
Ragnarok premiere. Okay, so right after Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy were having some words on the sideline before halftime, which was shown very prominently on the broadcast, Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy tweeted, "All Bieniemy does is argue with the players, ... in all caps, knows nothing about passing or play calling." So that's interesting.
Mhm.
A lot to kind of unpack there. He has, on a few occasions, I believe, not had the greatest things to say
Mhm.
about Eric Bieniemy in the past. He said there's a reason why every year they keep hyping him up to get a head coaching job or an offensive coordinator job somewhere else, and he doesn't get one. He talks to players a certain way, and some players would take it. Apparently, LaShawn McCoy wouldn't take it. There's some questions I'm going to ask. Everyone's accountable. Yeah. So McCoy continued
Knows
saying no one hires him because they know what type of coach he really is. So that's very interesting. I had heard him speak a little bit about it before, but it was particularly interesting in the middle of a game. And like LaShawn McCoy, like he just has no filter ever.
Mhm.
All-time Eagle great. I got his jersey downstairs. He does not know how to have a filter. Hence spoiling Endgame for like the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about before, and a lot of people have speculated, what is the issue with Eric Bieniemy?
There has to be an issue.
Because and maybe this is just, I don't really want to say it, but like, I don't believe that it's purely a race thing.
Mhm.
I truly believe that if he was the coach that people wanted to hire, he would get hired. That might just be because I'm privileged. I don't know. But like he has been up for so many things. He is the offensive coordinator of one of the best offenses over the last, 3-4 years in the NFL. And he's got nothing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that we don't know.
Yeah. Like two things for me. One, they say he said he knows nothing about play calling. He's the offensive coordinator. Crazy. Andy Reid had to come over to like break up the fight.
Yeah. And to be fair, Andy Reid does call.
Yes, he calls the plays, but I think an offensive coordinator should know how to do that. Whether you do that or not. And I just feel like, what does he have to get from lying about this? That's my thing, right? Like if he had something to gain from lying about this story, then maybe, but it just doesn't feel like he has anything to gain from lying about Bieniemy. So
I agree completely. Like for me, I believe that he believes what he's saying. It more comes down to like,
that's a good way to put it.
Like, I believe that he believes what he's saying. How accurate is what he is saying? I don't necessarily know. Like he still has a job there. He's still employed there. Andy Reid is a very, very, very loyal coach. And if he gets along with him, maybe that's all that matters. And Andy Reid is there. So, like, I don't know how much the offensive coordinator really necessarily has to do with a lot of things anyway. But it is interesting. Like, it matches up with what we've been, silently told by the NFL for a few years now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. It's like reading between the lines with the NFL. Who at the 49ers calls the plays? Do you know? Shanahan. Okay. Jimmy G was spotted very clearly saying, "Your plays suck, man," in the last game. Which was interesting. It's along the same lines, but that's just why I'm bringing it up. So he, I was also just looking. You and I sent a million tweets back and forth, making sure we covered everything.
I always forget to check the tweets before we actually.
I know before we actually get on the show.
I don't even know if I accomplished anything that I set out to.
The air yards one was a good one. I sent that to you.
That was about Chris Olave, right?
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, the quarterbacks. Yeah.
There was two. The quarterbacks one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there's that one. Okay.
No, we did mention that Chris Olave was the only one left, and he's pretty good. He's the air yardage leader through 3 weeks.
Oh yeah. Also, Elizabeth Olsen is beautiful. That was unfootball related that you sent me, but she is the Variety's Power of Women. It's a new photo shoot. God, she is stunning.
She really is.
Okay.
All right.
We need to move on for my sake.
Okay. Tell us what we're gonna do, and then I'll start explaining more.
Yeah. So next up, we are going to look into 6 teams that have either, whether it's record wise or just performance on the field wise, like have not really lived up to kind of our expectations for them this season so far, without a very clear reason why. Like, I think you might look at the Cowboys, for instance, and it's like Dak's been out, or there's another good one, but I forget who it was. Sorry, I'm all over the place on it, but yeah, without necessarily a clear expectation. And we're going to say, okay, what DEFCON level are we at with these teams? Like, how worried are we on the scale of 1 DEFCON to 5 DEFCON, which is obviously not how it is. It's
5 to 1.
Yeah, it's DEFCON level 1 or whatever. So why don't you explain DEFCONs real quick?
Sure. So I'll go through all 5 and really quickly explain what the description of it is in like military terms, because that's what it is, and then the actual readiness level. So DEFCON 5 is considered a fade out, lowest state of readiness. It's normal readiness on a normal given day. Countries at DEFCON 5. DEFCON 4 is called a double take, increased intelligence watch and strengthened security measures, and above normal readiness. DEFCON 3 is called roundhouse. It's an increase in force readiness above that required for normal readiness, and the Air Force is ready to mobilize in 15 minutes. DEFCON 2 is fast pace, next step to nuclear war. Armed forces are ready to deploy and engage in less than 6 hours. And DEFCON 1 is called cocked pistol, and nuclear war is imminent or has already begun, and it's maximum readiness with immediate response.
Nice.
Yeah.
To be clear, we will not be threatening nuclear war today.
No.
We are taking this all in football terms.
Not today, at least.
Don't want to worry anyone. Or if the FBI is listening, I don't want to make it seem as though we're threatening people.
The FBI is always listening.
I know. That's why I like to say things every now and then. Like,
you gotta wave to him, you little agent.
My local FBI agent.
You little agent.
Exactly.
Do you think they watch the podcast? I mean, if they're watching.
I think they have to. I do like the idea of like reporting it or something, and then they have to watch it. And it's like, hey,
viewers.
Someone in the FBI watched my podcast, and I know that for sure now.
So maybe you should threaten nuclear war.
No, Ashley, Jesus Christ. I want them to watch it. I don't want them to come to my house and take me away. Good Lord.
All right. We have some teams here. Do we want to go in the order you have them?
I put them in a random order.
Okay, so let's do it in random order. 49ers. Right. Before we get into anything, explain DVOA.
Yeah. So, we're going to give them references with just... That's a good... I'm going to just... So for each team, I'm going to just give the DVOA that they currently rank at during the season. What DVOA is it's by Football Outsiders, and it's defense adjusted value over average, which basically it breaks down every single NFL play and compares a team's performance to a league baseline based on situation to determine value over average. So it's basically saying, like if an average NFL team on 3rd and 2 runs this play, they should get 4 yards in a first down. And if you get 3 yards in a first down, that's like -1. Or if you don't get the first down, it's like whatever. Generally speaking, that's what it is. So like if you do better running a specific play at a specific situation, then you're positive DVOA, and the opposite is true. And there's both offensive and defensive DVOA. Again, it's from Football Outsiders. They have a more comprehensive explanation of it on their website. It's all free information, and it's very good. It's very often cited, so I like it a lot. I think it gives it because again, it gives context to these numbers. So
and I just wanted you to bring it up because we do have the stats, the DVOA stats here. These are the same ones we used DVOA when we did this segment last year. So 49ers are our first team we're going to talk about. They are 9th overall DVOA, 23rd offense DVOA, and 3rd defense DVOA. Where do you stand with them right now?
Yeah, so I mean, I think some of these numbers are at least a little bit skewed just because of the fact that, we've only had one game with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that necessarily makes me feel better about their offensive DVOA being 23rd in the league. It's not good. I don't know. It's tough. Like I think at the end of the day, I'm at a DEFCON 1. No, sorry, 5. Not threatening nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
5. See, I knew I screwed up immediately. I think I'm at DEFCON 5 with these guys because honestly, like now we're just going back to what we know.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're just going back to what we've seen from San Francisco for the last 5 or whatever years, which is Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm, Kyle Shanahan being Kyle Shanahan, and they're going to be fine. Like, I don't know. Their defense is playing really, really well. Their offense isn't, but Kyle Shanahan will figure it out. After spending a whole offseason preparing to run the offense through Trey Lance, it's now back to Jimmy G, and yeah, they looked pretty bad. But I think it's basically DEFCON 5. I don't think there's a lot that I'm necessarily worried about that I wasn't already worried about going into the season for them, which I think is kind of the way that I'm trying to look at it.
I like the way of looking at it. I think I put myself at a 4 just because this is where I'd expect to be, but just the situation with trying to keep that offense healthy has been a mess. So I think that's why it raises me a little bit, but I also didn't have high expectations for this team. So I think the DEFCON levels do base off of where our initial expectations were, clearly. But for me, I didn't expect them to do much. I'm more so worried about the injuries happening to the offense because their offense is already 23rd, and I don't know that they can, with one more injury, they might fall to the worst in the league. They just have a lot of injuries, and, Debo's doing good, not great. Ayuk's thrown in there. It just kind of feels like they don't know what they want to do, and I expected that. So that's just why I'm raising it just a little bit. I'm still pretty neutral, but just one step above minimum readiness.
I will say, so according to their future schedule based on DVOA, they actually have the easiest rest of season schedule based on the current DVOA numbers. They are 32nd in the league. So
interesting.
Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt, but
yeah. Our next one is the Packers, 12th overall DVOA, 9th offense DVOA, and 19th defense DVOA. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm a lot more worried about these guys.
Yeah.
I was actually very surprised to see that they were 9th in the league in offensive DVOA. And I was actually a little bit more I was equally as surprised that they were 19th on defense. I thought their defense has actually been pretty solid, maybe with the exception of that Vikings game week 1. But yeah, I mean, this offense just doesn't look the same without Devontae Adams. And part of me thinks, I think they're going to win games. And I think end of the season, they're going to be they're probably going to win the North, and they're going to be toward the top of the league when it comes to wins. But I just don't know if they have the firepower really to be able to win in the playoffs like years past, because I mean, Romeo Doubs was their wide receiver 1 this past week. That's a 4th round rookie. And while he was good for a 4th round rookie, it still shouldn't make you feel good that Romeo Doubs was your wide receiver 1. It's kind of like that Davis Mills conversation we've had where it's like, yeah, he's doing really well for him and what you expect out of him. So I don't know. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and there's going to be times where he's just able to win games on his own, and he's making the people around him better, but this offense just has not looked the same that we are used to it. I mean, like I said, they're averaging 16 points per game. So I don't know. I'm at probably a 4 with them, I think.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. I feel like the only thing I really have to add is that they're just so boring. Ugh.
Oh, they're very boring.
Oh my God. It's so boring. I could hardly sit through the games. I don't want to turn on a Packers game. That Packers-Bucks game was brutal. I did not.
Vikings? You combine the Buccaneers and the Vikings.
Yeah, I think I just didn't finish the first part of the name Buccaneers and joined it to the start of the word, and it sounded like that, which is interesting. Yeah. So they're just so boring. I don't really want to watch them. Aaron Rodgers, I don't really know how I feel about him. He's not like doing fantastic. He's, being Aaron Rodgers, he's winning games, but I don't know. I just don't think he looks that good. Do you?
I mean, I don't think he looks bad. I think he just generally looks like Aaron Rodgers, but I think the Aaron Rodgers that's won the MVP the past 2 seasons has been throwing it to one of the best wide receivers in football. And
I think that might be what it is.
Yeah, like we've seen what it looks like when good QBs don't have wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen what it looks like with bad QBs having good wide receivers, and he's Aaron Rodgers. He's always going to have a base level of excellence, but when you don't have anyone else that's able to make a play for you, it's just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to be excited about what they're putting out there and what he's doing on the field, which is a shame because it's more what we're used to. But yeah, like I said, I think they're going to win games. I just don't know if that's ever really going to make me feel better.
Yeah. So I like the way you put that because I don't think he's doing well because it's not these ginormous explosive plays with Devontae Adams. I think that's probably why I think he looks worse, even though he's probably statistically right around the same. I'll go one step above you. I'll go 3 just because I expected them to win a playoff game and at least one. And at this point, I don't expect them to win a playoff game looking like this and keeping their roster the way it looks. So I'll go one step above. I'll go DEFCON 3.
Alrighty. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this one's interesting. They are 5th in overall DVOA. Obviously, they're 2-1 on a 2-game winning. No, they lost week 2.
They lost.
Yeah, I don't know why I said it like that. But they are 27th in offensive DVOA and 1st in the league in defensive DVOA. I'm at a DEFCON 3 with them. And I think this was just like feeding into exactly how I felt about this team, which is, wow, their defense is really, really, really good. Todd Bowles is just an incredible defensive mind. And they have a lot of talent, but wow, he just knows exactly what to do against any team that they come up against. But at the same time, holy crap, Brady looks human. And the offense just, I mean, they made the Packers offense look exciting and good.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure I've said this before, but the issue with the offensive line and the interior of the offensive line, specifically the center, like, that is Brady's Achilles heel, is pressure up the middle, and it's showing. And obviously, they are lacking weapons of any sort. But ever since getting to Tampa Bay, he's had one of the best wide receiving cores in the league, and all of a sudden, he does not. I mean, Cole Beasley walked off the street and was making pretty big catches in this game, and good for Cole Beasley, but also that says a lot about their current situation. We don't know what's going on with Chris Godwin, if he'll ever be 100% this season. Mike Evans obviously will be back, but he's always a little bit banged up. Julio Jones, who knows? And that leaves Russell Gage, and it's like he might be the only not.
Don't forget about Rashad Perryman.
Yeah, okay.
He's still there. He's still at that team, right?
Yeah, he is. So is Scotty Miller and Jalen Darden, but I think that, again, that tells me exactly what I need to know about that wide receiving core.
Yeah.
So, and you've seen it being taken out on Leonard Fournette as well. He hasn't been, he's looked good at times, but they're just not getting the offensive production that has, they've been one of the best and most explosive offenses since Brady got there. And all of a sudden, they're none of that.
Yep.
So, I'm at least a 3 for DEFCON here.
Yeah, I'm at 2. I think for me, that team is 1 injury away from crashing and burning. And whether that be just another wide receiver injury or more specifically, like you said, in an interior of the offensive line getting injured and being out like a starter, they crash and burn. I think it's something's going on. Don't know what it is. Tom Brady, that's the perfect way to put it. He does look human. And I know that man has a lot going on right now.
Yep.
But he's been able to play through things before. And this just doesn't look the same. I don't know. I expected more out of this team. And Yeah, so I put them at a 2 because I just think they're playing with fire. They're very close to burning.
I will say that personally, I don't see a world where they crash and burn because
I'm
it's
not saying like full crash and burn, like no winning games after that, but like
I don't even see a way where like they miss it's a time. I don't think they'll be competing for a Super Bowl, but I don't think Tom Brady will ever crash and burn because at the very least his intelligence keeps them in every single game.
I agree with that. I think for me, I shouldn't have said crashing and burning because I don't mean it as like a total crash and burn, but more of like they get to the playoffs and they might not win a playoff game. Like because Tom Brady's intelligence got them there and their talent just couldn't keep up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, Jacquemus. Crash and burn, but there are a few survivors.
I think that's a fair point.
That's my way to sum it up. Next up.
Yeah.
Saints.
Next up, yes, another NFC South team.
Yeah. So they are 27th in overall DVOA, 26th in offense DVOA, and 10th in defense DVOA. Those are some low numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in my 15-second frenzy. I think they might secretly be a really bad team. For me, it's not that much of a secret. I mean, I said it, I think, in our preseason podcast. I don't think the Saints are going to be good. I think that they're very stupid for thinking they were going to be good this season. Like the way that they handled their draft picks, where they were talking, by the moves that they made, like they were going to be making a Super Bowl run, which I thought was preposterous. I didn't necessarily think they'd be this bad, but I didn't think they'd be good by any stretch of the imagination. And now currently, if the Atlanta Falcons hadn't, just completely screwed up week 1 and just let the Saints muster a comeback that in a game they did not deserve to win, the Saints would be 0-3. And even now they're 1-2 and they own the 7th. Oh, wait, no, sorry. The Eagles own the 7th overall pick in the NFL draft this upcoming season because the Saints don't have it because they said we're going to make a run for the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Their offense is miserable. And that's what happens when you lose Sean Payton. The defense is still very good because the head coach, whose name is escaping me currently, is a fantastic defensive.
Dennis Allen.
Thank you, Dennis Allen. I kept wanting to say Mike Ditka for some reason, and I don't know why. I was talking about the movies Kicking and Screaming the other day. That might be why, but it's beside the point. Great movie. It's like a class. It's like a throwback Will Ferrell. Yeah, the offense is just an absolute mess. Jameis Winston looks like Jameis Winston again, which is not a good recipe for winning games. Michael Thomas, after missing 2 years, is now already getting injured again. Jarvis Landry is starting to show his age. Alvin Kamara just looks horrible. Yeah, there's so little to be excited about on that offense, and I don't understand how that changes. Like, yeah, maybe we see Andy Dalton at some point this season, but is that really the thing you want to look forward to? Jameis is playing with 4 fractures in his back. Those don't just heal.
He wasn't at practice this week.
Yeah, I did see that because is he in London?
No.
Who are the Vikings playing? Why did I say London?
Maybe.
Hold on. I don't know who the Vikings are playing.
I wasn't going to bring that up at the end of the game, so I thought I had time to look that up. I still don't have it. Hold on. This is thrilling podcasting. Do you have it? I know the Vikings they're playing.
Yeah. No, it is the Saints. Yeah, Vikings are the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's just not a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it getting better. I think they're a bad team. I'm at DEFCON 2, probably.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think there's so much going on there that's leading to this. I don't think they are utilizing their players well. They're not playing up to their players' strengths, which I think is really killing them. I think that's why Alvin Kamara looks as bad as he does. I just don't think they know how to use their offense. It feels like a kid with a new toy who's just trying out everything. And even though they know how that offense should work, I think they're trying to be something they're not. I think, I don't really know. I don't like it at all. They're also heavily penalized. I was pulling that up because I had heard about that this week. They rank second in the NFL in total penalties at 24. And this article actually says they have the second worst special teams fouls. And yeah, they have no team has more pre-snap penalties on special teams than the Saints through 3 weeks.
They do have the 32nd ranked special teams DVOA, so
yeah,
that lines up.
Wow. So that's from Saints Wire. That like I basically just read their blurb. That's from the Saints Wire, written by John Sigler. So yeah, I just think they're messy. It looks completely discombobulated, and it looks like a coaching staff that doesn't know how to use their players, which I didn't expect. I mean, the coaching staff is well experienced.
Yeah, but Sean Payton.
Yeah.
He's really good at his job. And
yeah, and I think that hid a lot of what was going on with the Saints. So
that's what I mean. Is like
yeah.
people this offseason were pretending like they could just back to business as usual.
Yeah.
But no, you're replacing him with a defensive-minded head coach. And also Sean Payton is one of the best offensive minds currently, in the game. Is retired, but whatever. Like
for now,
you just don't replace that all that easily. And it's not like you have a ton of talent to begin with. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll sit with you two at DEFCON 2. We have 2 more teams to go over. We have 10 minutes left. Patriots, who are currently sitting at 9th. I'm going to do this the other way. I'm going to do 21st in defense DVOA, 13th in offense DVOA, and 19th overall. How do you feel?
I think I'm a DEFCON 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I think part of that is because I didn't necessarily expect a lot out of them.
Yep.
But the big thing for me is, first of all, I'm surprised they're 13th in DVOA on offense. Yeah. That actually shocks me. I know there's not a lot of talent on their defense, so I'm not like surprised. But God, to me, like to my blind eye, their offense is just so bad,
so ugly.
And shocker, it's bad. Look at who you have running your offense. It's Matt Patricia and Joe Judge.
Oh, could have guessed.
Anything they've done that proves that they should be an offensive coordinator in the NFL.
Let alone doing it together. It's not even like one of them is good. They're both bad.
It's so stupid. And also, I think a lot of people this offseason also underrated the loss of Josh McDaniels. Like, I think it goes hand in hand. Raiders aren't exactly schmoovin' over there, but not a lot to be excited about. I mean, we know that they didn't have a ton of weapons. They don't have a ton of talent at the skill position outside of the running backs. But God, it's looked even worse than I would have imagined. Mac Jones hasn't really looked all that particularly good. That obviously the defense is what kept them alive last year in a lot of games. The defense is what typically they typically have one of the best defenses in the league, and that this year that's not the case, and that's highlighting the offense's problems. So, yeah, I'm probably a DEFCON 3. It might be higher if I had higher expectations for them, but I just didn't necessarily.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to stay with you at that DEFCON level. The offense I'm not even say offense. It's the entire team. It feels like there are so many holes that I don't know how you can go about fixing that team this year. That this feels like it's going to be a year that's like a wash, especially in the division that they're in. I live in Massachusetts, so they were talking all offseason about how they could come in second in the division. The Bills would beat them. They'd hang on. I laughed then. I'm laughing even harder now. This team feels like it picked up some really talented people in like an open tryout. So
that's what they do best.
Yeah. So, and I'm starting to get really worried about Mac Jones because he's fine. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's bad. I think he's fine. I think he needs a lot of development, and it doesn't look like that's currently happening. I do see strides being made, but not enough for me to feel comfortable about it. So I think the Patriots are a watch this season, and I'll stick with you at that DEFCON level.
All right. And finally, the Chargers are sitting at 1-2. They've got the 15th overall DVOA in the NFL. They rank 14th in offensive and 15th in defensive. So they're basically straight down the middle in every category.
Yeah.
I think I'm a DEFCON 2 with the Chargers.
I was teetering on 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to threatening nuclear war with the Chargers because one, I've almost completely lost faith in Brandon Staley.
That's my reason.
I have a lot of reasons. But
That's
why
like
don't you tell me about Brandon Staley then? Why you feel that way?
I just feel like he's taking chances where he shouldn't. He's not taking chances where he should. He feels like he's almost playing a game of Madden and he's just kind of winging it. I don't know. I really used to like the way he coached, and it's kind of just rubbing me the wrong way this year. And I just don't. It's another one where I don't feel like he's utilizing players' best talents. And yeah, I don't know. I probably have more, but I forgot to write them down. So you keep going, and I'll let you know if I agree and have anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert is injured, and I think he should have been taken out of that game, first of all.
Yes.
If not, not started it. But Austin Eckler has looked miserable. The offensive line is getting beat up. Their center's not currently playing. They just lost their left tackle for the entire season. Keenan Allen currently isn't playing. Who knows how long Mike Williams will, be healthy. We're being realistic here. But also the run game as a whole has looked bad. The defense, I think, has looked solid for the most part, but they've underperformed when the amount of money and assets that you've put into that defense, like, they should not be underperforming. And that's Brandon Staley's thing. He's the defensive guy. And I think Justin Herbert as a whole in the first 2 weeks covered up a lot of the team's flaws. And then when he couldn't in week 3 because he was injured, they got blown out by the Jacksonville Jaguars, of all people, who won their first road game since 2019. So, yeah, I'm pretty close to DEFCON 2 because I don't know when Justin Herbert's going to be fully healthy. And even when he comes back, I don't know what kind of situation he's coming back to with this offensive line in shambles. And
everything's in shambles.
Yeah.
Their wide receivers are hurt. You lost Rashawn Slater, Joey Bosa. These are a lot of big key players that make the Chargers, and they're not playing for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
It is not looking good for them.
And this is, like, again, like the DEFCON 2 is very much because of the expectations from the preseason. Like,
100%.
I expected them to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the AFC, and they just don't look anywhere close to that. So that has a big part to deal with it. I mean, bright side is Justin Herbert is still a really good quarterback, so that's going to cover up a lot of things if and when he gets healthy. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the Chargers. So I'd say I'm most worried about them out of all of those teams.
Yeah, I know we're running low on time, but I want your opinion on one more team. I don't have the DVOAs, so I don't know if you want to pull them up while I'm naming them.
Sure.
It is the Las Vegas Raiders, and I need to know where you're at.
So they are 24th in total. They are 24th in offensive and 20th in defensive. I'm like a DEFCON 4.
Okay. Why?
3, I guess, maybe. And it's mainly because I didn't have high expectations for them. I thought they'd be fine, but I knew that they had a lot of issues. They've lost 3 very close games by a total of 13 points. That's tough. Like, that's really hard. They haven't looked particularly good while they do it, but they haven't looked miserable either. So, yeah, I mean, they're 0-3. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. Statistically, there's a very, 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 very low percentage chance that they make the playoffs when you start 0-3. I don't know how necessarily that's corrected for a now 17-game season, but I don't know. I never really thought they'd be in the upper echelon of that division, let alone the AFC in year 1 of Josh McDaniels and Devontae Adams, for that matter. So I don't know. I don't have. I'm not all that worried, mainly because this is kind of what I expected to see out of them. They're losing close games where their offense is sort of keeping them in it. To me, the thing I'm most worried about is why are you not getting Devontae Adams more involved?
Yeah, I agree with that. I was just looking up percentages. I think I'm higher on them than you are because I expected to see more. Not even that I expected them to like win more, but just see more. But I was looking up percentages for making the playoffs, and the Raiders are at 12%.
That's
Which is
interesting.
wild. Yeah. The Giants have a 46% chance.
I feel like that's not accurate.
Eagles are number 2, 79% chance.
That feels more accurate.
Yeah. I remembered one thing I was going to say earlier while you were doing your 15-second frenzy, because while you do that, I have things pop in my head, but I can't interject because you got 15 seconds. So I was going to say, I hate the Chiefs. I picked them in Survivor.
I lost this week in our Survivor because I forgot to pick anyone.
Oh, well.
So
What makes me feel better is that my other choice, I was teetering between 2, and my other choice was the Chargers. So I would have lost anyway, but I'm really mad at the Chiefs because they had that, and then they didn't.
yeah.
So, anyway, we have London games. Just one this week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that is the Vikings and the Saints.
Yep.
It is an 8:30 a.m. game. Kirk Cousins.
9:30.
9:30, whatever it is. It's not prime time, so that's what I'm saying. Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he might look like a Hall of Famer in this game. I feel like you're getting even farther away from prime time.
Mm-hmm.
It might be better for him. This is as early as he can possibly hope to play. So
Very true. Very true. All right. Well, that about wraps up our show this week. Duncan, where can we find you?
in my bed. I'm very tired, so I will be going to sleep. But please don't actually find me in my bed. You can find me on Twitter at mpduncan75. You can find me producing the Undrafted podcast hosted by at Dino Game Theory, Jax Falcone. And you can find me Sunday mornings on the FF Chat Discord hosting Under the Wire with Derek, also from the Undroppables. The Derek whose child was watching us earlier.
Derek, if your child's still watching, make sure you take a picture.
He did said he would send me a picture. So
yeah.
if he does, I will give it to you as well. But yeah, and you can find me here on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, you guys do run an amazing show on the fantasy football Discord chat. So, yeah, I love that show. Except that you yell at me the whole time.
Yeah, because you ask dumb questions.
I literally haven't asked a question.
Well, then I'm yelling at you for being dumb in the chat.
I know. You're just, yeah, I usually don't even say anything. There was one time that I was like, hey, what do we want to do with our joint team? And then
I was thinking about this past week. I have like I'm in 4 leagues, I think, that are all just like versions of the word undroppable.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely have not, I can't tell them apart anymore. And I knew we were co-managing one of them, and I didn't know which one. So
yeah, we co-managed 2.
Oh, well, there you go.
We co-manage 2 teams, and they're both called Bug Guns, but one of them is Bug Guns 1, and one of them is Bug Guns 2. So,
good point.
Either way, you can find me on Twitter at Ashley_Marie with 2 A's at the beginning of Ashley. Same as Michael Duncan. You can find me here, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday nights. You can find our podcast on all of your streaming platforms, wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you do listen over there, hi. If you could leave us a review, we would love it if it's a 5-star one. And you can find both of us and all of the Undroppables team on our exclusive Discord channels, which you have access to by becoming a patron. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/theundroppables. Very small fee for you to be able to have full access to the Undroppables, ask all your questions, get almost immediate responses. We have awesome guys there who run betting, who run DFS, and we would love to have you. So please do come join, and we hope to see all of you next week, and I hope you all have a good end to your week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.